is up, everybody? You're listening to another episode of the Stay Tranquilo podcast, where we're here to help you stress a little bit less and enjoy a whole lot more. Podcast is powered by Johnny Cuba. So if you need to get a Johnny Cuba, you know where to find it. Sedano's Presidente Supermarket, and soon to be Winn-Dixie. But as we get into it, I'm here with Rene Baraswain, the president and owner of Hyperfocus ROI, the largest agency in the United States.
Well, among it's definitely top 5 largest agencies. Let's not,
Okay, I'm sorry.
embellish too much.
I thought the article that came out said it top one. But
so is your podcast like one shameless plug about Johnny Cuba? Is that why it exists?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's a shameless plug, but it's definitely a platform to help promote the beer.
So then all the 32 listeners,
the 36 listeners know that I promote Johnny Cuba and that I'm an alcoholic.
Got it. Well,
both of those things are known.
A functioning alcohalic.
That's all you need to be at the end of the day.
That's it.
So before we get into it, I wanted to talk a little bit about you, kind of like your background, where you came from, some of the companies that you've worked for. And, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, well, man. So, I'll just throw my age out there now. I'm 43 years old, just so everybody knows.
You didn't have to do that.
So
you could have let them guess.
Yeah, I'm going to. So, I went to, a little bit of background on me. Started off, in college, I was a accounting major originally. And then, as I was gearing through college, realizing that I didn't want to sit behind a desk all day and push paper all day, which is kind of what I'm doing now, but in a different capacity, ironically speaking. But as I was going through accounting, I ended up switching my major to international business and marketing. And then out of college, started off my career at EMI Music, Capitol Records Music, based out of Miami Beach. That's, it's EMI Latin, which is like the Latin acts within the Capitol Records umbrella. And then from there, went to Live Nation, where I oversaw and booked other Latin acts. Did that for a couple of years, and then made my shift, pivot to the world of media. And I guess here I am, right? From there, I started at Univision, which everyone here should probably know what Univision is. It's the world's largest Spanish language
ice cream parlor across Bird Road and Sunnyside.
It's
right?
the ice cream shop.
Yeah.
It's more of like a dessert shop, right?
Yeah.
No, but I was there overseeing sales and marketing at Univision for 10 years. And then, it's like, when you're in corporate America, and we can talk about this later, we can talk about it now, however you want to kind of go about it, especially at a company like Univision, which I met some amazing people there, right?
Of course.
And some lifelong friends there. But there's a lot of bureaucracy that comes with working at a large organization like Univision, and just a very corporate structured, non-startup type organization, right? Because from there I went to Facebook. So Facebook.
When did Univision start?
Man, Univision's been around since 1962, at some capacity, right? But they were mostly affiliate networks in local markets before it became national, right. and it became national, more of a national brand in 1978. Shit, man, it's like the longest running show in the history of television, like continuously running show is Sábado Gigante, and it was on for 55 years on Univision's airwaves in one iteration or another. So it's been around.
And that
forever.
show was a global show or not?
That
national?
show was a national show at Univision, but it was broadcast globally in other networks, around the world. It's historically it's literally the longest running program in the history of global television.
That's crazy.
But with that, came a lot of, and it's funny because all of senior management and leadership at Univision is white Americans. It's white, good old boy Americans, and it's part of that club, and it's part of that cycle, and a part of that bureaucracy, if I'm speaking transparently, and this is something that's kind of it's kind of frowned down upon amongst the ex-Univisioners to kind of go off and badmouth, and it's not necessarily badmouthing them. It's just I was tired of all of the red tape, and all of the bureaucracy, again, to use that word. I was kind of just tired of that continuous vicious cycle there, and I was man, I'm still eight classes or 24 credits short of getting my accounting degree. So I was going to leave Univision and become a full-time student, do a semester and a half, get my accounting degree, and my uncle has an accounting firm, and I was going to go and work under him and get my CPA and just go through that, because in Miami, as you probably know, media gigs are not abundant, right? So it's one of those things to where if you want to stay in the industry, and I wasn't sure if I even wanted to, so I got the wheels in motion to get that process started while I was at Univision, and then Facebook approached me about an opportunity. This is in 2013. At this point, I had been at Univision for almost 10 years. Facebook approached me to oversee, lead their U.S. Hispanic audiences and media and marketing efforts, and build a team around it, and build the narrative around it. Help the product team build what those audiences would look like within Facebook's walls. Yeah. So that opportunity came about while I was on the verge of resigning from Univision, anyways. So I took that opportunity, and like the rest is history. It sucked me back into the fucking warped life of a media executive, and yeah. That's kind of and then from there, overseeing the U.S. Hispanic, which eventually became multicultural audiences, because we released African American affinity audiences and Asian American affinity audiences for brands to speak to those consumers, right?
Which, assuming all of that's pretty much changed drastically since then.
Yeah, that's been deprecated. Yeah, that's been deprecated completely. Now you can target based off of language. That's it. But those audiences, because I mean, imagine like once like organizations like the ACLU and all those, more left wing. I hate to bring politics into it,
but it's the truth. Yeah.
But when those organizations and shit, man, I was in front of a board of ACLU members. I was trained by all of our corporate attorneys at Facebook to get in front of them to defend those audiences and the integrity of those audiences, right? And the way that Facebook identifies, like for a marketer, this is from 2013 to 2017 before they became deprecated, and I went on to do something else at Facebook.
Did they already have that in hindsight, though, that they knew that those audiences were kind of like at risk of not existing, or was that not even like a topic of discussion?
It wasn't a topic of discussion at first, because the same way, like, why should a Verizon or a McDonald's or a Ford Motor Company, right? Why should they be able to advertise on Univision to reach Hispanic audiences to move their business, but not be able to target those same audience members on Facebook? I think that it's their right to be able to do that. Yeah. Right? And as long as you're not an organization, right? Because where it gets a little bit dicey is when you have an organization like, let's say it's Chase Home Loans, right? Chase Home Loans, or it's Caliber Mortgages, or it's Rocket Mortgage, right? Like, one of those loan companies, right? When you're talking about, those loan companies, for better or for worse, they know that, a lot of Hispanics, because it's in the data, a lot of Hispanics are unable to, are not qualified for a number of different reasons, right? Just financially, like, credit, right? So what they were doing, and this is kind of like how it became a problem, because you know how you can do exclusion marketing on Facebook, Instagram, and even on Google and other platforms. Yeah. Like you can exclude audiences. So they were excluding Hispanics, and that is discriminatory in practice, right?
Of course.
So it became sensitive within like financial services, and within credit and within housing and certain subcategories and categories, it became discriminatory. So the first step was, okay, within those categories, if they're registered as an advertiser on Facebook or on Instagram, and they fall within these categories, they are unable to utilize those audiences for any purpose, right? So we kind of took that away from them, but we still had for a couple of years, like our bread and butter advertisers, right? Like, again, Verizon, McDonald's, Ford Motor Company, etc., T-Mobile. So you still had them kind of playing and using those audiences until just it. At Facebook, we were driving a business that was like, we did, I think, in our first year, and just to give you perspective, right? Univision has 3,500 employees. I built a team of 12 of us overseeing all these efforts, and we did our first year 50 million, second year 100 million against these audiences alone. That was 2014, 2015, 2016. We did 250 million, and then our last year 350 million before they deprecated these audiences. And I say this because our team of 18, we were doing 35% of what a team of 3,500 people, and all of that overhead was doing. It was and is still doing. I mean, they're still an empire. Granted, they've lost a lot of their market share to Telemundo and to other companies like Google, Facebook, now Amazon that they're doing Spanish language and putting a priority on that, which I heard at Facebook that it's kind of coming back in another iteration.
I feel like you can never count Facebook out of the game, though.
Yeah, you can't.
They'll figure a way.
They will, but here's the thing. For Facebook, a $350 million U.S. Hispanic and multicultural targeting bucket, it's a drop in the fucking bucket. Yeah. So, Cheryl and Mark and team, they see that and they say, man, $350 million, is it really worth a fucking headache? Yeah. So that's kind of, so they kind of eliminated that. We'll see if it comes back. I was told by a few of my ex-colleagues at Facebook that it was coming back. And then like in the sphere of kind of career path, right, from Facebook, after the first 3 years of building that team, and I wouldn't say building it for no reason, because I learned a ton and I made a ton of contacts, and I got to travel the country. Shit, I was burning 130,000 miles a year, and I was exhausted. But from there, I went on to lead the streaming team, which is overseeing the business units within the streaming category and subcategories like Netflix, HBO, Showtime, Spotify, etc.
Yeah.
So I was seeing that, and my task in large part was driving incremental revenue from those companies
to spend money on Facebook.
To spend money on Facebook and on Instagram, and figuring out creative ways to shift dollars from other platforms that they were playing in into Facebook. Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, and whatever other avenues within that platform. So
right.
So yeah, and then from there, ventured into where I met you.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, that's where you kind of enter into the scene, Andre.
Exactly.
And yeah,
Hyperfocus ROI was born.
And Hyperfocus ROI was born with a lot of different iterations and a lot of failing along the way, and a lot of, listen, man, it's like, at Facebook, it was move fast and don't be afraid of failing. Like that's like the gist, and I think that we kind of adopted that, and we fucking struck out. We've struck out a ton of times, but I think that we've also made a lot of great strides.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, and just to give a little bit of context, Hyperfocus ROI was the agency that he started, and then I kind of came on board there, and that's kind of where I am now as well. But I mean, it started with like the realty thing, where we were going to to different offices, and we were doing pitches at those offices, trying to sell in realtors
on this idea that we had, which
I still think has a chance.
That's the thing with you that I love about you. You're like eternal optimist.
No, but I mean the reality is though, like going to kind of like what you were touching on was like, when you start a business, it takes you having to go out there and grind and kind of just like put yourself out there, and because if you don't put yourself out there, you don't give yourself a chance, right? You don't even have a fighting chance. And that was like the beginning of it. I mean, we were literally going out there, and now I mean, it's starting to like refine itself in terms of like finding business and making things happen. But essentially, in the beginning, it was like literally us having to like go out there, like not cold calling, but a version of cold calling, where you're like literally going out there being like, hey, is it cool if like we go and do this presentation? Like we're offering this. Yeah, sure. And then to go in there and like not get anything out of it.
Listen, sales is the most demeaning and morale killing occupation that a person can have.
But think about it. It applies towards everything though, because here you are starting a business, and you need to be able to sell your business.
Yeah.
And your services that you offer. So your component of like being a salesman in another life it helps when you're selling a product like Facebook.
Yeah.
You just close your eyes and be like, hey, I'm selling this, and everyone's gonna.
That's the thing with Facebook. Also, it's like
when you're selling hyper focus ROI, they'll be like, who the hell is hyper focus ROI?
Well, you have to sell it in the lens of like figuring out creative ways of.
Exactly.
I was at Facebook. Our team is. We have a number of ex-Facebookers. Even though we don't, but
that's our ploy all the time.
That's kind of our like, approach. But it's like at Facebook, everyone's gonna like, man. It's like all of my like when I was at Univision. Man, I shifted a lot of dollars from Univision to Facebook, a lot of dollars, and because I had the ammunition, I had Facebook, the brand name of Facebook to get inside all, to go and open the doors to all my previous agencies and advertising clients.
Yeah.
Which were a lot, but it opened the doors to the ones that I didn't know, because you send an email from Facebook, hey, like, we're launching all these new audiences. We know that you're spending within the, Hispanic audience across, Univision, Telemundo, etc. We have better solutions. We have higher scale. We can reach more people. We can do it more efficiently. They're going to listen to you every single time.
Yeah.
So that opened a lot of doors, fortunately. And a lot of the clients that we have at Hyperfocus ROI are from my previous life.
Pretty much, I would say 90% are through connections from a previous life. But that, I feel like, everything in life is like the people the connections that you've had, and they at least open the door towards that opportunity. I right now, like, I wouldn't even be doing this if it wasn't for like the connections and the network that's existed. So I think, and all in all, it could have been a complete shit show, right? Like your past life. I'm not saying it was, but
some elements of it shit show is for sure.
Right, but let's say at the worst, it's a complete shit show. At the least, you got connections that catapulted you to at least have an opportunity to do what you're doing today. So at the least you can get that, right?
Yeah. 100%.
But part of all that, you obviously worked for large companies like Facebook, Univision, two really large companies.
Say that again. Say Univision again.
Univision.
That's close.
Is that good?
That's possible.
Or do you want me to say Univision?
No, you can say Univision.
Univision.
Yeah, but that's not how you said it the first time.
I'm 3 beers in, so maybe that's why.
Got it.
But you worked for both of those companies, and then now obviously you started an agency. You're an entrepreneur. Like, what are some of the pros and cons of working in corporate America versus being I guess an entrepreneur and starting kind of your own thing?
Look, man,
because it's not only like you worked for corporate America. You worked for one of the largest companies in the United States.
Yeah, listen, like when I started, like, so why don't we do it like this, right? Like, let's do it this way instead of pros and cons. Like, let's do it with like, maybe it's like a what have I learned over the last 3 years?
I'm down for that.
Right, because that's gonna, I think, inherently organically bring out some pros and cons.
Okay.
And by the way, like when I started at Facebook, and it's all like this is just me going off on like a small little tangent here, because you were talking about Facebook being this huge organization. I was employee number 2,800, and when I left,
which now they have what?
They have like 65,000 employees, right? So when I left there, they were at 55,000, right? So I was there, like there's a little portal at Facebook as an employee that you can kind of click on and check in, and it tells you have been at Facebook longer than X percentage of other employees. When I left, I had been there longer than 98% of other people, and I was only there for 5 years.
That's crazy,
right? Shit, man, like when I left Univision, 10 years, everybody's there for 15, 20, man. I know people who are still there, have been there for 30 years. So it's, that's like when I left after 10 years, it's like only 10 years I Univision. And when people at Facebook, like the life expectancy of somebody at Facebook is like 4.2 years. Like people don't last there longer and it's not because it's a grind, and the bigger a company gets, the more silos, the more politics get involved, the longer it takes. Like I got there, it had a startup feel, and you can get shit done, and you can be blue collar, and you can move the ball forward. But
5 years, that's pretty fast acceleration too of growth.
It's fast acceleration. It's acceleration to the point where it's tough to navigate the organization, because now it's a lot more vertical teams. It's a lot more cross-functional collaboration across, horizontally across the organization, right? So that becomes, extremely challenging. And then it's, you have a company like Facebook, they hire some really smart people, smart people
across
who
every
are
industry.
very qualified across every industry. And the people on my team, when I left, you had, they were, I think, median age was 23, 24, 25. I had a team of 7 people, and they were all young, and it's not like I had been there for 4 years. So when I started managing them, it was one of those things where they wanted to take over the world, and they were running at a pace where I just ran out of gas.
Yeah.
I just ran out of gas, and I just hit a wall. And then, ultimately, like, they wanted me to move to New York, and I wanted to stay here in Miami, right? So, yeah, and then when I started Hyperflow, look, I can tell you this, man, it's like, you start off with and there are days, and you see these days, because you're in the, I'm with you 50 hours a week, and it fucking drives me crazy, but here we are, right?
Well, maybe that's the downfall of Hyperfocus.
Maybe that's so what have I learned? Look, I've learned something, man, and it's like, and it's actually like fitting, right? Because I read something from Gary Vaynerchuk today, on his LinkedIn status, and it said something to the effect of, you have to, like, I've learned that you have to surround yourself with people who are like-minded, surround yourself with people who are not toxic, right? And you have to surround yourself with like, and not take yourself too seriously. And that's something that I've never taken myself very seriously.
Yeah.
I try not to. I try to take things and situations seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously, because my opinion of people who do is that they come across as being stiff and unapproachable, right? And sometimes it's hard to like get rid of that baggage, right? When people come in, and Gary Vaynerchuk's quote is like, like, if there are people within your organization who are giving off a toxic attitude or are toxic, like it behooves you, even if they're fucking gangster ballers, right? Even if they're really good at what they do, like, distance yourself from them. And and that's, I've learned that for sure. And I try to surround myself, and now, bringing in, a couple of new people onto the team, surround myself with people who are like-minded, and that's hard to get. I mean, shit, man, like in this last wave of interviews, how many people did I interview?
Like 12, 11 people, something like that.
And I found 2 who were qualified, and,
qualified and aligned with kind of like what you envisioned in working with.
What I
from
envisioned
like a
in
personality standpoint.
And now we have other, things in the works that are, somewhat confidential that we can't really talk about right now, but exciting things.
Right, exactly.
That,
it gives it a little bit of like more drive and incentive to be doing what you're doing. Yeah,
and it gives us, but there are days that feel hopeless, and there are days where you're high-fiving, man, because you just closed something big.
Yeah.
So
or ringing the bell.
Or ringing the bell, which we need to do more of. Yeah. That I can tell you that.
Yeah, the bell's getting a little bit of dust on it.
It's getting a little bit of dust on it. So we need to take care of that. But we have things coming down. So it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I've learned that it's hard. I've learned that it's really hard. I mean, you find yourself. I'm the payroll guy. I'm the
right. You wear multiple hats.
I'm the operational guy. I'm the new biz guy, and obviously, you guys obviously have done an amazing job of coming in and taking on more of a leadership role, and putting on our big boy pants, because we all have to. But yeah, it's completely different, man. And there are days where I just want to either crawl into a rock or just give up completely. And then there are days where I see optimism, man. Like, it's nothing to balk at that we've grown, that we more than doubled first year to second year, went up another 50% year over year, 2021 to 2020. And this year, man, I think that we're going to get to a place where we're going to be in a very good place revenue wise. For me, it's not, I've also realized something, and this is more like in the last year, it's like, it's not necessarily all about the money. Like, that's not like, listen, money's great, and you see my style, and I think that it doesn't align with other people's vision, I guess, but like, I've worked with some money hungry people that's all that they're in business to do. Mm-hmm. And again, we're not a non-for-profit charity, so we have to,
obviously, you got to make money.
So we have to make money, and that's great. But if I have a client that's spending a good amount of money with us, and they come to me for a project that they only have a certain budget for, and we're making a ton of revenue off it. So, like, I don't mind breaking even on that one project or taking a small loss on that to help them on certain efforts, because I know that it's going to come back and it's going to pay for it later. And like, we've had this conversation before where it's like, you know, sometimes I might even I like to give more than I get. Right. And to quote the great Carlos Soria, which I wasn't expecting Carlos Soria's name to be dropped into this podcast, but to quote him, like, coming from a place of like abundance, right? And a lot of people look at that and they don't think that that's ROI positive.
But it always comes back. I mean, time and time again, you hear the people though, like, giving is like the best form of like getting, essentially, right? Yeah. Because the more you give, the universe decides to give you twofold. Because why? The more you give, it's going to return so that you can continue to give. Because if you don't give and you don't get, then you can't give. Yeah. So I think the concept makes sense when you really think about why giving. But then the people that don't want to give, it's stagnant, right? So they're not getting anything because they're not willing to give anything. Yeah. So it makes sense in my eyes.
No, it does, and you're thinking about it the right way, because I was about to say that the people who don't think that that's ROI positive, they're not thinking about it the right way. Like, the way that you just described it is exactly the way that I kind of think about it. Yeah. I just, you know, and there are times where you might not see returns for a while on those different, you know, offerings of, you know, givings. And there are times where you might not even see a return, period. Yeah. And that's a chance that you know, you kind of take. So that's my philosophy and my vision behind it. And there are also times where you say, you know, Rene, like, I think that you're passing that giving threshold, and you keep me honest, right? Like, there are times where where you think that I'm, you know, pulling my fucking pants down and just letting them rail me, right? But it's like, it's you know, it's one of those things where I need to be kept honest sometimes, because left to my own devices.
Yeah, no, it's true. You know? Yeah, at that point you're hurting yourself more than helping yourself.
Right.
Oh, I mean, I think you hit a good point too, because like, yeah, there is a possibility that like you don't hit at all, right? Like, you take that chance and like you don't get anything out of it, even though you tried and you try to make something out of it. You gave your time, you gave your money, you gave your effort, right? All of that. You know, it's still a version of giving at the end of the day. It doesn't have to be monetary as a form of giving, right? Your time, your effort, all that counts towards an aspect of giving, right? And sometimes you don't get a return. But one thing that at least I know that I've learned from all of this, right? Like, because I could have taken a completely different route. You know, I could have said, fuck it, I'm going to just go work a fucking job. You know, I got my degree in something else, and maybe I'd taken a route that way, right? There's a million other things that I could have done, but something that was always important to me was my time and kind of having flexibility and you know, building a life more like on my terms rather than on someone else's terms. Like, to me, I've since college, that was something that was always important to me, right? Like, I don't know, my mind and my perspective changed on things because I never thought that way. Coming from like a pretty traditional household where it's like, hey, you go to school, you get a job, and you move on. But you know, based off of what happened in my life, I've kind of been forced to think a certain way and had a lot of time to think. And, you know, to me, it was always important to like delegate life kind of like on my terms, essentially, and having a little bit more flexibility to do those things. But taking that route is not necessarily the easiest route, right? It may sound nice on paper. And one of those things that kind of came from that was...
Well, I think that taking that route, first of all, it's liberating, and I respect you for it, but it also comes with a you have to be a different, like, more responsible breed, because that's autonomy that I never got, right? Like, I was always at the 9 to 5, you know, at Live Nation, at Univision, at Facebook it's a little bit different in terms of, like, you know, I did have a lot more autonomy, and I wasn't as micromanaged, but right, like, I think that you that you do have that kind of autonomy, but you have to be on top of all your shit.
Of course,
if you're gonna make your own schedule.
Exactly.
People not everybody can do that.
Yeah, I mean, people have the misconception that you're an entrepreneur, you can go do whatever you want, and it's just like flying colors. It's a complete opposite. You're putting a lot more time and effort. There's a lot more pressure on you, right? Because what you put is what you get. You know, there's no one else kind of like doing that for you. But the biggest thing to me is like the aspect of like the patience, right? Because when you get a taste of it, you think it's coming and you want it, and then it's not getting there as like fast as you want. So with multiple different things, I think to me the hardest part is more like the patience more than anything, because anybody can put in the time, anybody can put in the effort, the work, all that, right? I mean, if you have a solid work ethic, I mean, you're gonna go far.
Anybody can, but not everybody does.
Right. Exactly. Right. So, but again, anybody can. The thing is, everyone can do it, right? And a lot of people will start it, but will people finish it?
That's the question.
Right. It's like the consistency portion. To me, that's the fucking. Can you withstand and withstand and withstand and withstand and be patient enough to hopefully reap the benefits of doing what you did, right? Yeah. To me, that's the hardest thing, because when you start anything, it's motivating, right? You feel good, it's fresh, it's new. You start a new job, you start a new relationship, whatever it is. Like, everything's always good in the beginning.
But then shit gets hard.
But then shit fucking gets hard.
That shit gets real.
Exactly.
And the majority of people bail. It's just too hard for them. Exactly. Because people like to take the easiest path. And
to me, that's what separates. And that's, to me, the hardest part. It's the consistency and withstanding the time, because there is no you don't know when the time clock is. It could fucking happen one day to the next.
But you're never done.
But you're never. No, you're never done. That's true.
That's for sure. I mean, even when you're done, you're not done.
It's true. It creates a new element.
So it's like, are you continuing? Are you pushing the ball forward with those efforts? But sometimes you have to also know when to quit too.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like
it is. You have to know.
Life's a big piece of shit.
I think
in that way.
It really is. I mean, but I think at the end of the day, though, it comes down to like you got to listen to yourself, and if you're just fucking miserable, just end whatever it is what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think our minds and our bodies do a good job of being like, dude,
of informing us.
Informing us, like, dude.
All right. So does that mean that I can just get up and fucking walk away?
Is that the time?
Right now? Yeah, I'm just gonna walk out the door.
Oh yeah, that's the time. I'm glad we had a little sabbatical now.
We did.
But obviously another component, like obviously you mentioned the corporate life versus like kind of like the non-traditional way of starting something of your own. But something that you said was like keeping things light and kind of like not taking things so seriously, which I think that's something in the work environment that we've done a good job. What are some of the things that you think are like good habits that like kind of keep things light in the office, like things that I don't know, that people could do to kind of create a more like balanced and fun work work
Do you like my socks?
I do like your socks. I did see that.
Right? The little golf, like golf ball things, little golf flags there. Well, listen. I mean, I think that
I know what it is, but I want you to tell them what
that go on. All right. So some of the things. So I mean, do you want to just like mention some of the things?
High level overview.
So this. And things are getting a little bit heated, and it's to the point of it being dangerous at the office now.
It's creating some turmoil in the office.
It's creating a little bit of a turmoil there. But, essentially, I walk into the office about, 2 months ago? And
probably more at this point. I feel like this has been going on for a while.
3 months. But things are escalating, right? So these guys grabbed a Bluetooth speaker, all right? I'll before I even bring that part up, we had been complaining a couple months prior to that.
Yes, good context.
About how there are certain noises in the walls, and I still hear them.
I still hear them too, but now I don't know if they're real or not.
So there are certain noises in the walls, and it's like a tick tick tock, tick 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 tock.
Yeah, it sounds like a little mouse.
It sounds like it's a little rat,
like in the roof,
like a little mouse. So then these guys, I get to the office one morning, and this morning, man, like the rat was going off, man, and I was hearing tick 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 tick. I'm like, holy shit, and apparently these guys.
It's like similar to this roof. It's like the ones that you have like a little. Yeah, you can punch it open and kind of see what's.
So these guys put a fucking Bluetooth speaker and connected it to their phone right above my head, and they started putting mice noises, and it escalated from mice noises to like little haunted noises.
Yeah, we started with that, but to the point that he called the landlord and was like, I think we have a rat problem, and then she's like, I'm calling an exterminator right now. And me and Lucas, who's the other guy in the office, are here looking at each other like, shit, dude, like, they're calling an exterminator. That's us. We're making those noises.
So that's when they finally told me that it was happening, which I think that they still sent the exterminator just in case.
Yeah, there actually still might be a mouse in there.
But that started that
that just started like the whole pranks in the office.
Yeah, so that kind of catapulted in the office to where man, it's like I was
just nobody's safe.
It's like bad. We all walk around with our Yeti cups, and these guys put, and this is kind of already like you guys passed it a little bit on this one because it was.
Yeah, this one was overboard.
I took a big fat swig and expecting water, and you guys know how there's nothing more fucking annoying than taking a swig of your cup, thinking that it's gonna be something, and then it turns out to be something else. That's that element of surprise.
Like sipping a cup of water and it's just straight vodka.
That element of surprise. I did it once to my daughter with Sprite and water. This is like when she was 4 or 5 years old.
That's abuse.
She's 10 years old now, and she hates Sprite, and she doesn't stop. And she doesn't stop telling me about it. But I take a big fat swig, man. It was. They put.
We got like a.
But I'm talking. I took a really.
It's like an aggressive water, water chug.
A thirsty gulp.
But it was like a.
It was
like a whey protein.
It was
milkshake.
A banana yogurt.
It's protein, yeah, thick liquid.
Banana yogurt liquid that was fucking expired by a month. All right. And I spit it out, man. I looked like I had semen coming out of my mouth.
Yeah, no,
all right.
It was like I realized what happened, and I was like, "Oh, that looks terrible.
That
looks awful."
And these are things that you guys have to record. I mean, like
we have to do a better job documenting this. I mean, now what happened?
No, it was just seeing like what's
it's a cold cooler, right?
Yeah, it is.
Does it work? Does this work? Yeah. So
it's an offer show.
I mean, now we do like we've put hot sauce in the water. Right. This guy got Altoids and put a bunch in my water, and I take a sip because you don't see them because it's like buried on the ice. I take a sip, and it just tastes super minty.
A minty sip.
And then I was forced to throw all my ice out and like literally clean it because the taste wouldn't go away. Then he brought an air horn to the office, and any opportunity where someone goes to the bathroom where they're hiding behind, we blow the air horn.
And that
it's to the point. Facebook status.
And then we got into like. If you leave your computer unattended, changing Facebook status of others.
We'll put like.
Do you want me to read a couple of different statuses?
Read the one that we put to Lucas's the other day.
Okay.
We have a truce. Like if you're gonna go get food for us, or you're doing something for the office, then everything's untouched. But like if you go to the bathroom, or you take a phone call downstairs, or a meeting, like, and you left your computer or you left your phone open, like. It's fair game.
So
no one's safe.
Lucas went to lunch, but he wasn't getting us lunch, so it wasn't part of the truth.
He went to lunch with
and
one of the guys here.
His status for about 2 hours on Facebook was: life is good, dance a lot, laugh often. Life is too short not to be #blessed. Cheers to the good life. Little sun emoji.
And then a bunch of emojis.
Little cheers champagne emojis, and little dancing woman emojis.
Yeah, and usually like we'll like go to the bathroom and we'll check to see like if someone did something, if we like see we fucked up and we left our computer open. But I don't know, one day these guys got me. I don't know where I went or what I did, but it didn't even cross my mind that they got into my computer.
Well, we got you for 24 hours.
They got me for a full 24 hours, and the way I would have never even known. The way I find out, I'm logging into Facebook to check something, and I get a notification, blah blah blah, liked your Facebook status, and I'm like, oh no, dude. And I'm like, bro, I haven't even left my computer today. How could they have gotten in there? And then I see when it was 26 hours ago. And I'm like, damn, bro, I've had this on there for a full day. I had like 4 people like it. I'm like, god damn it. It was like one of those like generic, like too blessed to be stressed or something like that. But yeah, I mean, that definitely keeps things light there. Also, we do our sports betting, so I wanted to kind of talk about that. What is one of the best bets you've made in the betting world in terms of like, winning?
Man, I don't well, first of all, we suck at it.
I don't know about you, man. The Dulos did good.
Dulos definitely did good. Man,
came up at top at the end and won $40. I'll take that all day.
Man, I would say it's like I'm not a really like I gamble often.
No, yeah.
Right? I'll put, on a Super Bowl, I'll put $100 every Super Bowl. That's like my like big money tradition.
Right.
You know, I think that like the biggest bet that I've ever won, and this is not even like, but I did Tampa Bay money line and the under in last year's Super Bowl, and they were 6-point dogs.
Who did they play again?
They played the Chiefs.
The Chiefs, that's right. Damn, they were 6-point underdogs.
They were
in that
6-point
game?
dogs. Yeah. And a lot of people went Chiefs. Everyone thought that. Remember that like that was the time when Tampa kind of like stumbled into the playoffs.
Yeah, true.
They
didn't even win the division.
As a 9-7 team.
Yeah, they didn't.
And
win
then
the
they got
division.
hot in the playoffs, and Kansas City was just steamrolling everybody.
Yeah.
So everyone thought, and I don't know why I even did this. But everyone thought that so that was like my own like with the Univision pool that I kind of do, like my ex Univision colleagues, I did KC giving up 6. That never had a chance. I mean, Tampa Bay steamrolled.
They killed them.
So you know that was
nice,
and that was $100 I think to win like $350 $400. So
solid.
But yeah, I mean it's like you know it's you know, I dabble in the art of gambling, not very successfely.
Yeah, I mean, when I was never a gambler like at all. Like, didn't even you know, like I always was entertained by the conversations, but I never put money into it. But when that Hard Rock Sportsbook app opened up,
yeah,
that was dangerous. I caught myself like on a Wednesday betting on an NBA game.
Yeah,
I'm like, shit, bro.
Dude, I was fucking parlaying Providence against.
But that was the thing. I was doing some crazy like 12-game parlays where it was like those $5 to win like $900,000, and I'm like, you know what? Whatever. What's the worst that happens? I lose $5. Like, you know, like
it was. I was like,
but man, they made it just too easy.
They made it too easy, and then it's like after like the 8:00 games on like a Saturday for college football, it's like let's see if Hawaii's playing right now, and you have to like go back and like figure out.
I would just open the app for whatever reason, and I would see like a live bet going on, and it was like plus 5,000 odds. UNC is down by like 7 with 3 minutes left.
You're like,
and
I'm like, make a comeback.
They'll come back from that. End up losing by 17. I'm like, bro, why did I do that?
Yeah, listen, because I biggest plus 7,000 is a fantastic value.
Exactly.
That's
why. So
that's why.
Yeah, I hope he comes back. I don't know where they're netting out in the whole like suing the Indians and.
Yeah, that's something that's going to be. I mean, that's going to be a process.
But I don't understand. Like, it's legal in New York. It's legal in all these states. Like, why wouldn't Florida why don't they just say, let's do it?
Because.
Is it because of the whole strictly the Indian situation in the gambling?
The Seminole tribe of, right? Because it's a Seminole tribe of Florida. They don't want to give up that monopoly. If the Seminole tribe of Florida wanted to.
But do they have complete control of gambling in general in the state of Florida?
They have complete control of gambling.
Wow.
Right now.
Oof.
In Florida, they have, and then when it comes to sports gambling, they have complete control, but it has to happen in the
property.
The reservation.
Yeah.
And the thing with that, if the Seminole Tribe of Florida wanted to open it up to competition like FanDuel and DraftKings to be able to place those bets, because right now within FanDuel, DraftKings, you can only bet fantasy games, right?
Right.
In Florida.
Yeah.
If they wanted to open it up, they could, but they don't want to give up. They don't want to risk giving up that monopoly over them, right?
Because it's a $1 billion industry right now.
And that's the thing. They have such a head start now with millions of users that I think that they'd be fine with competition. But for them, it's like all or nothing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, listen, it sucks because, I was quite enjoying that.
Yeah, no, I was too.
That app. But,
insane bets, like betting on Morikawa while planning on the Heat on winning and just random combos of the 7 different sports going on.
But
it was amazing.
A part of me is happy that I have that, like, having a bookie also makes it a little bit more of a mission, a little bit more difficult.
Right. It's where you contemplate it. Before you would just throw $10 like it was nothing.
It was like becoming a problem.
Yeah.
It was
I kind of wanted to come back.
I know. I wanted to come back and I don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, because now, it kind of gives you some guardrails, the whole having a bookie thing and not having such easy
that
access.
ever since I went away, never put a bet again.
It's true.
But
well, you have, but it was through me.
Right, through you. It makes it a little bit more like easier. Like if I had a bookie accessible, then it could be a very different situation.
It's not like you like I try to keep it tame.
All right, cool.
So what else do you want to talk about?
No, we're gonna wrap it up with quick questions. before we end, so basically, are you a beach guy or a mountain guy? I already know the answer to this, but
I'm a beach guy.
yeah,
Beach guy, but I love the mountain.
Right.
You know.
No, it's a common theme. Everyone loves the beach, but they love the mountains too.
You know. But if I had to choose, beach. If my wife had to choose, mountain. My wife hates the sand, hates the beach, and then
that's
now
I don't understand people like that.
she's ingrained that into like now my daughter hates sand and hates beach.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's not.
I mean, look, sand is not like the most pleasant thing, but like it's a pretty fixable situation. Yeah, just jump in the water.
Just get in the water.
Yeah.
Right? But they don't like salt water.
Oh, okay.
No,
you know what? Then
they're
definitely not beach people then.
It's becoming a problem.
Yeah.
That I'm gonna have to address.
Yeah, I agree.
At some point, so Ile, if you're listening, this is gonna be
get your crap together.
So,
okay. Favorite movie?
I have a few favorite movies. All right, so I'm gonna give you those now. Groundhog Day for sure.
Okay.
That's up there. Shawshank Redemption. Okay. Have you seen Shawshank?
Yeah,
that's a fucking awesome movie.
I actually watched it the other day.
Man, what else? Well, what are your favorite movies?
We're the Millers, obviously.
That's fantastic.
He hasn't seen We're the Millers, Star Wars. What else haven't you seen?
I haven't seen Star Wars. And I don't intend on watching it either.
It's disappointing.
Well, and you.
I don't know what my favorite movies are.
And you haven't seen The Big Lebowski.
I have not.
Have you guys seen The Big Lebowski over there, camera guys? Jesus Christ, what the hell's going on here?
I would say Dumb and Dumber's up there.
Yes.
Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber's up there.
I would say Waterboy.
Yep.
Big Adam Sandler guy. I like Talladega Nights. Big Will Ferrell guy as well. Movies that basically require 0 brain cells to watch.
Right.
Are usually the ones.
Right.
And then I do really like Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, that's up there.
Like Leonardo DiCaprio. What's the one that he does? Shutter Island.
Shutter Island.
Right. That's Leo DiCaprio.
No, I have no idea.
You never seen Shutter Island?
Are you making up movies now?
No. Shutter Island's a movie, right?
That don't really exist.
No. Shutter Island, dude.
Okay.
It's very similar to that concept of like mind bending kind of movie.
Okay. All right.
Highly recommend. That's a really good movie. So that, and that's pretty much it. Fool's Gold is a good movie.
I have not seen it.
Oh, that's another good movie. All right. What else? Yeah, no, that's pretty much it. That's all I got for you today.
Yeah, no TV programs. Do you want to get into like some risque subjects like remember how we were ranking countries?
No.
No, you don't want to talk about that?
No.
Why?
I'm not down for that.
Okay, you sure?
Yeah.
All right. Next one, like can you have?
Yeah, maybe that needs a segment in itself. I would go on
for
20 minutes on that.
So just so they know, but
what
can
the
I
context
tell them
is.
what
The
the context?
Yeah, go.
So I'm not gonna rank them, but we were talking about beautiful women, and the countries by rank that we would rank, like our top 5 countries with the most beautiful women. So we were talking about that, and just to not get controversial, we're not going to talk about it, but maybe that's for like the next one where we
that's
can
fair.
compile.
We can do. This is how we'll position it. So it's an all inclusive.
Yeah,
right,
that's
situation.
A thing. In 2022, that's a dangerous subject.
Yeah.
I get it.
We could do one where it's like top 10 countries for men, and we have females rank
have
it,
to
and
do
we
that.
have
We
have
to
one
do
where the males rank the
top
countries
5.
for females.
Do top 5. Yeah,
Top 5, top 10. That's excessive. I don't even know if I can name 10 countries.
No. It has to be top 5. No, agreed.
Okay. I think we could do that.
I think good.
All right,
good.
cool.
So we'll put that on the slate on the docket.
I like it
for the next conversation.
Yeah, I'm down for that. And then obviously, if you want to find Rene on social media, do you want to share your social media?
Sure. It's at Renbada Instagram. You're not gonna get much. I suck at posting things.
Yes, you're not gonna get much. His content's pretty weak.
My content's weak. But you can follow us.
Hyperfocus ROI.
You can follow us. Hyperfocus.
Some good content there.
LinkedIn, Instagram. We also post some of our practical jokes on there.
Yes.
You
get some dog content on there too.
We have some dog content. So yeah, Chloe, our Hyperfocus in-house dog.
Yeah.
Official dog. So yeah, Hyperfocus ROI, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
Yeah. Solid.
All right.
And for any new listeners, you can find us at Stay Tranquilo, at staytranquilo.com, and Johnny Cuba at johnnycuba.us. You can find the beer again at Sedanos, Presidente, and soon to be Winn-Dixie.
And Tonino tuna, like
Tonino, yeah. I mean, we can go on. If you want Tonino tuna, great tuna product.
Gourmet tuna.
Me Too Shop. If you want to shop some cool Latin-inspired kind of like products, mugs,
and
t-shirts,
if you want to get
hats,
your hair did, Stylecraft and Gamma.
Stylecraft, good razors. Manscaped, you know, you don't want to deal with them. You want to go with Gamma. They got a good one, you know. Stay clean, stay fresh. Any other shameless plugs out there?
I'm pretty good now. Oh, Pure Formulas.
Pure Formulas. If you want to stay healthy.
If you want to stay healthy, pureformulas.com.
Stay healthy. Get your vitamins and minerals.
Get your vitamins on. Trust me, guys.
Yeah. All right.
All
Pretty
right.
much it.
Awesome. So we have content for the next podcast.
Yeah.
I like it. All right.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right, man. Thank you for having me, dude.
Yeah. No problem.